Hey, this is Audi Rob's Wide Open Woke podcast. We coming to you with the second half of that alien contact NASA exposed, getting this information out there. Without further ado, let's do this because this thing does not like to be on hold long.
No limits.
All right, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Check this out. This information is very crucial at times when this stuff started happening and all the formation of all the agencies and all the stuff that was hidden, and they knew about it all along.
Now the Allies moved in. The secrets were gathered up and taken away. Scientists and engineers were given new names and new homes in America. Area 51 was born. Roswell saw an infamous UFO crash, and later, in 1958, NASA emerged in the race to space. Strangely, one of the influential figures in the creation of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, strongly linked with NASA, was a man called Jack Parsons. But before he was a rocket engineer, he was in fact a member of Aleister Crowley's occult group, the Ordo Templi Orientis. Here, he met and worked with the creator of the Scientologists, L. Ron Hubbard, and together they called upon the goddess Babylon to come down to Earth. This is the same man that is held in high esteem for his scientific knowledge of rocket propulsion. He died in 1952 in an explosion that many see as more than an accident. In 2002, a man called Gary McKinnon hacked secret US government files looking for evidence of the UFO cover-up he believed existed. In an interview with AncientX.com, he stated, "One of these people was a NASA photographic expert, and she said that in Building 8 of Johnson Space Center, they regularly airbrushed out images of UFOs from the high-resolution satellite imaging. What she said was there was there. There were folders called filtered and unfiltered, processed and raw, something like that. I got one picture out of the folder, and bear in mind this is a 56k dial-up, so a very slow internet connection in dial-up days. Using the remote control program, I turned the colour down to 4-bit colour, and the screen resolution really, really low. And even then, the picture was still juddering as it came onto the screen. But what came on the screen was amazing. It was a culmination of all my efforts. It was a picture of something that definitely wasn't man-made. It was above the Earth's hemisphere. It kind of looked like a satellite. It was cigar-shaped and it had..."
Wow, what is it doing to my... Hold on, let me see what's happening here. Hold on. All right. Me back again. This is really weird because this thing keeps cutting out as I'm getting this information out. There's some weird reason this keeps cutting off. Let's
as
see.
the European Space Agency, the Russians and Chinese. In all cases, there have been reports from these highly trained, intellectual astronauts that they have seen things they cannot explain. Indeed, there is in fact a lot of footage in the public domain, taken by NASA equipment showing such things as strange shapes, lights, and even peculiar serpent movements in our atmosphere. If NASA and the Air Force have for decades been working on technology found by the Nazis, then there will by now be a lot of unknown flying objects out there controlled by humans. The question is this: are there any out there that are not?
Wow.
One crew member of the Apollo 14 mission, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, believes so, and has in fact come out in public with his beliefs.
Yes.
He said that NASA knows all about the aliens and even deals with them. He even describes them as little white humans. He said,
I happen to be privileged enough to be in on the fact that we've been visited on this planet and the UFO phenomena is real. It's been well covered up by our governments for the last 60 or so years, but slowly it's leaked out and some of us have been privileged to have been briefed on some of it. I've been in military and intelligence circles who know that beneath the surface of what has been public knowledge, yes, we have been visited.
NASA have in fact been covering up for a long time. In 1975, a book, now out of print, called Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon, revealed astronaut conversations about things they discovered when on the moon itself. This is what was said in 1972 during the Apollo 16 mission.
Man, John, I tell you, this is some sight here. Tony, the blocks in Buster are covered. The bottom is covered with blocks, 5 meters across. Besides, the blocks seem to be in a preferred orientation, northeast to southwest.
This is on the moon, y'all.
They go all the way up the wall on those two sides, and on the other side, you can barely see the outcropping at about 5%. 90% of the bottom is covered with blocks that are 50 centimeters and larger. Capcom. Good show. Sounds like a secondary. Right out here, the blue one that I just grabbed from the lunar module window is colored because it's glass coated, but underneath the glass it is crystalline. The same texture as the Genesis rock, dead on my mark. Young. Mark, it's open. I can't believe it. And I put that beauty in dry. Dover. We'll start EVA 2 immediately. You'd better send a couple more guys up here. They'll have to try to...
Wow.
Sounds familiar. Boy, I tell you, these emus and PLSSs are really super fantastic.
NASA later admitted that not every discovery on the moon was made public, and still hasn't.
See?
In a later Apollo 17 mission of the same year.
Oh, now you kicked me back out again. Wow, man. What does it do? It's not even letting me even get back up in here, man. It's doing this stuff live here. Let me pause this. Okay. We back at it again. Let's see if we can get through it this time. All right. Let's do this.
Yes, we have been visited.
NASA have in fact been covering up for a long time.
Start over again.
In 1975, a book, now out of print, called Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon, revealed astronaut conversations about things they discovered when on the moon itself. This is what was said in 1972 during the Apollo 16 mission.
Man, John, I tell you, this is some sight here. Tony, the blocks in Buster are covered. The bottom is covered with blocks, 5 meters across. Besides, the blocks seem to be in a preferred orientation, northeast to southwest. They go all the way up the wall on those two sides, and on the other side, you can barely see the outcropping at about 5%. 90% of the bottom is covered with blocks that are 50 centimeters and larger. Capcom. Good show. Sounds like a secondary.
So you heard
Right
that
out
twice
here,
now.
the blue one that I just grabbed from the lunar module window is colored because it's glass coated, but underneath the glass it is crystalline. The same texture as the Genesis rock, dead on my mark. Young. Mark, it's open. I can't believe it. And I put that beauty in dry. Dover. We'll start EVA 2 immediately. You'd better send a couple more guys up here. They'll have to try to...
Wow.
Sounds familiar. Boy, I tell you, these emus and PLSSs are really super fantastic.
Try to get a little ahead of that.
NASA later admitted that not every discovery on the moon was made public, and still hasn't. In a later Apollo 17 mission of the same year, the crew are ordered to go into code with the word Kilo.
CMP. Command Module Pilot. Hey, I see a bright spot down there on the landing site where they might have been blowing off some of that Halo stuff. Capcom. Roger. Interesting. Very. Go to Kilo. Kilo. CMP. Hey, it's gray now with the number 1 extends. Roger, we got it. And we copy that it's all on the way down there. Roger, we got it. And we copy that it's all on the way down there. Go to Kilo. Kilo on that. Mode is going to HM. Recorder is off. Lose a little communication there, huh? Okay, that's Bravo. Bravo select Omni. Hey, you know you'll never believe it. I'm right over the edge of Oriental. Just looking down and saw the light flash again. Roger, understand. Right at the end of the Ryle. Any chances of that's the east of Oriental? You don't suppose it could be Vostok? A Russian probe.
Whatever it was that the Apollo 17 crew saw, we can only now guess at. But if it's being compared to a Russian probe, then it simply must have looked man-made. There are in fact many recorded conversations with codes in. We can only wonder at what such words as structure, beaches, benches and terraces really mean. Earlier, the Apollo 15 mission found actual tracks on the moon to which NASA has never given an answer. Here's what was said.
Irwin. Tracks here as we go down the slope. MC. Just follow the tracks, huh? Irwin. Right. We know that's a fairly good run. We're bearing 320. Hitting range for 413. I can't get over these lineations. That layering on Mount Hadley. Scott. I can't either. That's really spectacular. Irwin. They sure look beautiful. Scott. Talk about organization. Irwin. That's the most organized structure I've ever seen. It's so uniform in width. Nothing we've seen before this has shown such uniform thickness from the top of the tracks to the bottom.
Wow.
The crew then saw something spectacular.
Wow.
You talked about something mysterious. Okay, Gordy, when we pitched around, I'd like to tell you about something we saw. When we were coming about 30 or 40 feet out, there were a lot of objects, white things, flying by. It looked as if they were being propelled or ejected, but I'm not convinced of that. We copy that, Charlie.
Even on the very first moon landing of Apollo 11, there was an amazing sighting. According to Otto Binder, a member of the then NASA space team, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong saw alien craft. He claims that Armstrong clutched Aldrin's arm and exclaimed,
What was that? What the hell was it? That's all I want to know. What's there? Malfunction. Mission Control calling Apollo 11. These babies were huge, sir. Enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out there. Lined up on the far side of the crater edge. They're on the moon watching us.
A conversation heard around the world by hundreds of amateur radio operators and later covered up goes like this.
Armstrong and Aldrin. Those are giant things. No. This is not an optical illusion. No one is going to believe this. Houston, what the hell is happening? What's wrong with you? They're under the surface. What's there? Emission interrupted. Interference control calling Apollo 11. We saw some visitors. They were here for a while observing the instruments. Repeat your last information. I say that there were other spaceships that lined up in the other side of the crater. Repeat. Let us sound this orbiter. In 625 to 5. Automatic relay connected. My hands are shaking so badly I can't do anything. Film it. God, if these damn cameras have picked up anything, what then? Have you picked up anything? I didn't have any film at hand. 3 shots of the saucers, or whatever they were ruining the film. Control here. Are you on your way? What is the uproar with UFOs over? They've landed here. There they are, and they're watching us. The mirrors. Have you set them up? Yes, they're in the right place, but whoever made those spaceships surely can come tomorrow and remove them. Over and out.
Of course, what these US astronauts were seeing could have been Russian, couldn't they?
No.
Well, if they were, then the Russians would know about it.
Yeah, 'cause they don't. Give it a light. I see lights all the time.
But
when
in
I'm
April of
looking at the moon with a
1979,
telescope.
cosmonaut Viktor Afanasyev saw something he couldn't explain when he docked with the Soviet space station. Here is what he said.
It followed us during half of our orbit. We observed it on the light side, and when we entered the shadow side, it disappeared completely. It was an engineering structure, made from some type of metal, approximately 40 meters long with inner hulls. The object was narrow here and wider there, and inside there were openings. Some places had projections like small wings. The object stayed very close to us. We photographed it, and our photos showed it to be 23 to 28 meters away.
The photos were never released. Maurice Chatelain was a former NASA communications chief. He said,
The encounter was common knowledge on NASA. All Apollo and Gemini fighters were followed by space vehicles of extraterrestrial origin, or UFOs if you prefer to call them that. Every time it occurred, the astronauts informed Mission Control, who then ordered absolute silence. I think Walter Scherer aboard Mercury 8 was the first astronaut to use the code name Santa Claus to indicate the presence of UFOs. But it was James Lovell on board the Apollo 8 command module who came out from behind the moon and said for everybody to hear, "Please be informed that there is a Santa Claus." Even though this happened on Christmas Day 1968, many people sensed a hidden meaning in those words.
Ben Rich was the CEO of Lockheed Skunk Works and was called the father of the stealth fighter bomber. The MUFON UFO Journal revealed some startling new evidence about what he knew.
It appears that on his deathbed in 1995, Rich confirmed that aliens were real, that they had visited the Earth, and that the US military actually travels in space.
The actual revelation itself came from Tom Keller, an aerospace engineer and once system analyst for NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Skunk Works is Lockheed's secret research laboratory, and Keller claims that he was one of 50 or so engineers making secret technology for highly secretive missions. He states that the US already have the ability to travel among the stars in black projects. As we suspected, Keller confirms that such travel does not use chemical propulsion in the standard model. When he was asked how such technology worked, he replied, "Let me ask you, how does ESP work?" The questioner answered, "All points in time and space are connected." Keller replies, "That's how it works." In essence, what we discussed about the mind and quantum physics is confirmed by what Keller says. Apparently, Ben Rich, the former CEO of Lockheed Skunk Works, confirmed to witnesses that there were 2 kinds of UFOs.
Humans designed one, based on various crash site retrievals such as the one at Roswell. We were also given actual craft by aliens to work on. The second kind of UFO is the real McCoy, alien technology.
He claimed that the US government handed over control of the information about this human and alien cooperation to an international board of directors. Ben Rich believed that it was not in the public interest to know about such things. We couldn't handle the truth, he said.
They can't.
Don Phillips was in the US Air Force and worked at Skunk Works. He has since come out with revelations about UFOs. He said
Come on
the
now.
UFOs were huge, would come to a stop and do 60-degree turns and immediately reverse action. These are statements that thousands of UFO eyewitnesses around the world will recognize today, and it is the kind of movement impossible for known human craft. What was it that Neil Armstrong and others saw on the moon all those years ago? And why does NASA refuse to explain statements like this from Neil Armstrong as the Apollo landed on the surface of the moon?
They're here. They are right over there, and looking at the size of those ships, it is obvious they don't like us being here.
Now, of course, NASA have been further than the moon. They are on Mars. A quick search of the internet will bring up dozens of UFOologists pointing out images from NASA craft that have unusual features, shapes, even lights. There is evidence the pictures have been altered. A registered and certified geologist called Ronald Hicks examines the Martian pictures in detail. He states that much of what we see are not in fact ordinary rocks, but artifacts. When you walk through a desert, he said, you may find a rock in the shape of a circle, or one like a triangle, or another shaped like a rectangle. But you won't find one with all the shapes on it. These, he says, must be made by intelligent hands, and are therefore artifacts. He
Wow.
enlarged pictures from Mars and revealed how these shapes could be clearly seen. Right angles, tubes, wheels, and even cogs.
That's deep.
Phobos is a moon of Mars and has been studied and photographed. One image made everybody sit up, including the scientists. Dr. Fred Singer used to advise Eisenhower on space developments. He studied the pictures, and he suggested that Phobos, instead of being a natural moon, might in fact be an artificially created satellite. From the artifacts on Mars and this new image, it is easy to draw a conclusion that there was once an ancient civilization on that remote planet. Singer wasn't alone. The Russian astrophysicist Shklovsky also stated that Phobos was probably a hollow, artificial satellite, and for him, proved that Mars had once been occupied. His reason for this? An extensive study of the orbit of Phobos around Mars proved that it was not an ordinary object. The evidence stacks up. The once chief of applied mathematics at NASA, Raymond H. Wilson Jr., stated that Phobos might in fact be a colossal base orbiting Mars. What was in the pictures of Phobos? A monolith on such a vast scale that it can be seen from space. Buzz Aldrin was the second man to walk on the moon, as far as we know. When speaking on a US cable TV show, he said that we ought to visit the moons of Mars because of the monolith. When people find out about it, he said, they're going to ask, who put that there? Well, who did? NASA remains silent. Strangely, the Mars orbiter also found a huge monolith on Mars as well. So, we have astronauts saying they have seen flying ships, lights, and strange buildings on the moon. We have craft that have crashed and been spirited away by military personnel. We have sudden spikes in the rise of technology following thousands of years of relative similarity. We have huge monoliths, strange shapes, and artifacts on Mars and its moon. And all the time, we have silence from NASA. Well, not quite all of NASA. Dr. Brian O'Leary, a former NASA astronaut and Princeton professor of physics, said, "There is abundant evidence that we are being contacted, that civilizations have been visiting us for a very long time, that their appearance is bizarre from any type of traditional materialistic Western point of view, that these visitors use the technologies of consciousness, they use toroids, they use co-rotating magnetic disks for their propulsion systems. That seems to be common denominator of the UFO phenomenon. And not just ex-NASA employees. Here's what the former Canadian Defence Minister, Paul Hellyer, said. Decades ago, visitors from other planets warned us about the direction we were heading and offered to help. Instead, some of us interpreted their visits as a threat and decided to shoot first and ask questions after.
Oh,
It is
wow.
ironic that the US should be fighting monstrously expensive wars, allegedly to bring democracy to those countries, when it itself can no longer claim to be called a democracy when trillions, and I mean thousands of billions of dollars, have been spent on black projects which both Congress and the Commander-in-Chief have been kept deliberately in the dark. There have now been hundreds of whistleblowers, people who have worked for government and corporations and who refused to remain silent.
About time. Get all this information out there.
Most of these
No.
people are not crazy fools. Most of these people are professionals with degrees, doctorates, and are in positions of authority. These are people who were once astronauts, fighter pilots, scientists, engineers, and even intelligence officers. We have proof that the authorities have covered up the truth by touching up pictures and destroying documents. Around the world, ordinary people are photographing, filming, and sighting strange craft and lights, and have been doing so for decades.
UFO alien contact.
We believe it's time for disclosure. Stop treating us like fools. Stop talking about little green men and belittling the search for life out there. We're big grown-ups now, and we are more than ready to meet their leaders.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That was something right there. Be ready to meet their leaders, as they say. But you know, that was just part one and part two of the first uh, video that's actually an hour long, but I've been breaking them down into 30-minute segments. So, yes, you still got another part two, which is actually part two slash three. Or you say it, or you can just say it's part three. But anyway, we're going to be getting back to that again and bringing out this more information on what's hidden that NASA has always known about UFOs, and now the information is coming out. So they are all here. So what's the narrative? What you guys' narrative? What you gonna do? You know, you gonna sit there and put your head in the sand and pretend like they're not, or are you gonna go ahead and face reality and accept the fact that hey, you knew something was wrong all this time. You knew something. You felt something was different. Well, this is what you felt that was different, and now that you see that it's different, how are you going to handle it? Now you see that the church narrative is out the window because see all that stuff's going to be coming out too. Most of it's out now, but people still don't want to accept it because they still got you blinded and you're under the God spell. Yeah, the God spell. Only the Lord can do it. Only the Lord can do it. No, 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 no. Nah, that's you yourself. That's you. He says Psalms 82 and 6. Didn't it say ye are all gods? But no, y'all just want to skip over that part and jump to the part where it's bondage and jump to the part where he said he has to worship him and all this kind of stuff. And Jesus says, I didn't come for y'all to worship me. I just came for you all to be like me. Can y'all be like me? Don't worship me. I didn't even come for that. No, I'm not the son of God. I'm the son of man. Y'all stop putting words in my mouth because I never said that. Y'all gonna learn. But y'all gonna learn in these next few 5 years. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn for real. Be prepared. So get ready for part 3. It's coming, people. Hey, peace, love, and light. And let me get on here and take care of this.
Blast wide open, woke sessions. Mind, body, soul, no second guessing. Smelling truths, no sugarcoat dressing. Wisdom hunting, cash and knowledge blessing. Hands to the streets, wide open the road. Eyes on the prize, ain't no time for jokes, lies and eyes. These chains we roll, shoot on the mic, destiny and vote. Hands to the